I am Fee the Writer Bee. Today is Vlogmas Day 5 and I will be reading a story that is set in my pirate world, a Christmas story called Christmas Lanterns. Yvonne was hanging over the edge of the ship as we came close to land. "What are with the pretty lights? I've never seen anything so colourful," Yvonne asked. My wife may have never seen such lights before, but I had a long time ago in my childhood. Roderick and I would wheel Alwyn to Emmeline's room, where our sister Auguste would be waiting for us, with Emmeline and her children. We'd sit together and open presents, wishing that Father and Mother would come home to spend Christmas with us. Emmeline's bedroom window had a beautiful view of the city below the palace, where we'd be able to watch the colourful lanterns that everyone would light for Christmas. "They're Christmas lights," I said with excitement. "Do you remember me telling you about them?" "Only every year, with you wishing that my hometown did the same thing. Seeing it for myself, I can see why. It's beautiful. I want to bring something like this back to my parents when we return home," Yvonne said. We always talked about when we returned home, even though her parents probably believed us to both be dead. I wondered how they celebrated Christmas now. When Father had sent Roderick and I to live with Yvonne, our first Christmas was with her parents, and after that we'd alternate which of her grandparents would visit. Our last Christmas before we'd been taken captive by the pirates that we now worked beside had been with Roderick and Ruby not long after they had married. We would have been due to spend Christmas with my brother and his wife this year as well, had things not changed. Did her parents still celebrate Christmas without us, or was it painful without family to spend it with? I missed them as well. "Shall we head into town and see the lights up close?" I asked Yvonne. The question was really directed towards our captain. Since we'd spent our first years on the ship as captives, we didn't have full privileges yet. "I'd love to," Yvonne said, turning to look at the captain. "If Lady Captain Lysandra will allow us both to leave the ship. I expect you back here by lunch tomorrow. If you're not back by then, I will assume you to be deserters and have you both hunted down," Lysandra said, before turning back to my wife. "Missy, you cannot go out looking like that. Come with me. Nick, I have an outfit left with Cook. I expect you to clean up properly before heading out into town. People are a lot more open to a young couple than a pair that look like pirates." "Fancy," Monkey said to me as I returned to deck. The ship had come into port while I was cleaning up and a lot of crew had already left. "Where did you get that outfit?" "It was mine from before," I replied. I had been surprised to see my old outfit again. "Is that Missy's from before as well?" he asked, pointing in the direction of the captain's cabin. I turned around seeing Yvonne and the captain both dressed up. They looked like mother and daughter as they walked out together. "It is," I replied. Yvonne had always hated dressing up and hated that dress. She didn't look like she hated it as much now. "Were you a lord or something?" Monkey asked. "Or something," I replied. Monkey had no clue who either of us had been before. Most of the crew didn't know who either of us were. We were sworn to secrecy by the captain to not mention who we were in the past. "This was my last Christmas present from my grandma," Yvonne said as she walked up to me. "Remember how much I complained when she made me put it on? I never thought I'd see something from my grandma ever again. Maybe it'll become a new Christmas tradition for us," I said as I took her by the arm, hoping that Captain Lysandra would allow us to keep these clothes. "So far we have only followed traditions that your parents have made. We have never made up our own. It is time that we started making our own traditions. Traditions for us to show my parents when we return." Arm in arm we walked around the town and looked at the colourful lanterns that were in the windows. The street lanterns were also fitted with colourful glass, adding colour to every corner. Being as late as it was when we pulled into port, all the shops were already closed. It was the first time we'd been allowed into port without a chaperone. I kept looking around and I couldn't see anyone following us from a distance. "Stop looking for them, Nick. It doesn't matter if they're watching us. Let us just enjoy this night," Yvonne said. She was right. I needed to enjoy this rare moment we had together. I'd always wanted to see the colourful lights up close like this. I wasn't allowed to leave home. The first time I'd ever left home was the day I'd been sent away to live with Yvonne's family. "When we return, we'll go see your sister and elder brother and go into the city and see the lights up close like this. We'll push Alwyn through the city. We could add Christmas decorations and a lantern to his wheelchair. I'm sure he'd love it." He'd never been allowed to leave the palace either because he'd been sickly since the day he was born. That was if he was even still alive. He hadn't been expected to live as long as he had. I just hoped that I'd get to see him again. That I would one day get to see my mother, brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews and Yvonne's family. I'd never see Roderick or Ruby again. They'd gone down with the ship when we'd been taken by pirates. We kept our arms linked, eventually coming up to the town square that had upbeat Christmas music playing. The town square was full of people, and it seemed most of the town were here, and I could see some of the ship's crew had made it here as well. Shall we join them? Yvonne asked. I was surprised. Yvonne normally hated dancing. It was something that I enjoyed, and usually when I danced it was with my mother-in-law. Of course, I said, not even sure I could still dance. It had been so long. I miss this, just spending time together, with just the two of us, out in the town together, Yvonne said. Merry Christmas, Nick. Merry Christmas, I said. I wanted to stay dancing with her like this for an eternity. The music came to an end and the people started leaving. Only the rowdy drinkers remained behind. Some of the lanterns had gone out, the colour dying away from the street. I know that Captain Lysandra said we could stay out longer. I think we should return now, I said. Can't we stay and watch the lanterns a little longer? I couldn't say no to her request. Once again, arm in arm, we walked through more of the town, looking at the lanterns in silence. Returning to ship only as the morning light drowned out the few lanterns that hadn't burned out during the night. We should make a colourful lantern for Christmas next year, Yvonne said. That we should, I agreed.